And the last thing I want to get into is Kendrick Perkins, Bob Myers had a little exchange on the Kevin Durant conversation. First and foremost, shout out to Bob Myers for being a guy that's different in the media, because it's very easy and very popular in the media to make Kevin Durant your target. He's just a very easy target, right? Very easy, because you're not going to get a lot of pushback from people in the media, because he's rubbed so many people in the media the wrong way. So when you try to make a living off hot takes, you need a hot take that you could always go to. Sometimes you got to have a player that's like your whooping boy, your target, and Kendrick Perkins learned that from Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith, Kwame Brown was his whooping boy for a little while. But nobody was his whipping boy as much as Kyrie Irving was. I mean, he went 5-6 years of just trying to let Kyrie have it. And every single time he did this little Kyrie rant, it went viral. Like, he know his Kyrie takes is gold. You ever heard a comedian that had a really good joke that, they tell almost every time they do they stand up? It's one of their best jokes they go to. Man, every time I throw this joke out there, everyone's laughing. Even people who heard it before. That's what having hot take culture on ESPN is like. These analysts have to have hot takes. They have to go viral. They have to get clicks. And once they find a take that they can keep reheating and throwing out there, they go keep doing it. So every chance that Kendrick Perkins get to throw some KD slander out there, oh man, he don't waste no time. He's got to do it. And this time was no different. But before we get to what Kendrick Perkins said, Bob Myers was giving his thoughts on KD when it was doing a trade deadline, and he had some thoughts. And these was good words that Bob Myers said.
So I saw Kevin at a football game a few weeks ago, and I asked him before all this, and I said, "Hey, are you good? Are you happy?" And he said to my face, "I don't want to go anywhere. I don't want to be traded." And I believe it, and I believe he has felt that way all along. But then when you hear your name being mentioned out of, for him at least, I think it was a shock. He was kind of like, I didn't push for this. I didn't ask for this. And then to hear all the people speculating on the Warriors, I actually think the Warriors did the right thing by honoring Kevin's request. Kevin could have gone anywhere in 2016. Any team he wanted to go to, he could have went to. He went to the Warriors, and he's the only person in that whole equation that took criticism for it. I didn't. Joe Lacob didn't. Yeah. Steve Kerr didn't. Steph Curry didn't. Draymond Green didn't. Only Kevin was the one that faced scrutiny. So whatever Kevin would want, had I still been with the Warriors, Kevin would get. He brought 2 championships, tried for a third, ended up getting hurt in that pursuit, 2 finals MVPs. So I like that the Warriors said, we hear you. We wanted you. We respect that you don't want to be here. That's fine. But now if you're Kevin, right, to your question, yeah, you're sitting there going, hang on a second here.
Yeah.
I am doing what you pay me to do. I'm playing basketball. I'm playing at a very good, high rate. And now I hear my name being mentioned. So he's a human being. We try to mythologize. He's a guy. So Kirk, you know him. I mean, you played. I'm not a player. I don't know. But I imagine as a human being, you're kind of shaken up.
So one thing he said that I really like is he pointed out, look, Kevin Durant could have went anywhere, right? He was leaving OKC. He had a lot of places he could have went. Everybody wanted him, right? So whoever had money to sign him, he could have went to Houston and played with James Harden, right? He chose to come to the Warriors based on the way they ran their offense. He liked it. He liked that offense, right? But Bob Myers said something very important that's important for this conversation with Kendrick Perkins and everybody else who criticizes Kevin Durant and nobody else, right? Everyone in that equation was involved in Kevin Durant coming to the Warriors. Kevin Durant, Bob Myers, Draymond Green, Steph Curry, Steve Kerr, Joe Lacob. Those were the main culprits. I didn't mention Clay, but you can throw Clay in there. But I know for a fact those guys was heavily involved in having it happen, right? Right. On one end, You got a team that's already established, already won a ring, won 73 games the year before, lost in the finals, can't get over the hump against a healthy Cleveland team. And here I come to help you. Even if the answer was Kevin Durant, we can get back to the finals, we think, right? Because it wasn't no guarantee they was going to get out of the West. A healthy San Antonio, healthy Kawhi, and whatever team KD went to, if he didn't go to the Warriors, could have been Houston. It could have been San Antonio, right? He could have went and played alongside Kawhi. He could have went and played alongside the James Harden, right? Even with KD in Golden State, they went 7 games with Houston, and San Antonio was beating them really bad before Zaza Pachulia slid his foot under Kawhi on shooting a 3-pointer and tore his daggone ankle off the bone. Right. But even then, Kawhi was destroying the Warriors with KD. And so did the Rockets. So imagine if the Warriors didn't have KD and KD was on the Rockets or on the Spurs. Right. So there's no guarantee that the Warriors even got out of the West if KD didn't join. But let's say they did, right? Let's say they could get out of the West, and all they needed Kevin Durant for is for LeBron, right? Even if that was the case, you still needed Kevin Durant to win a championship against a healthy Cavs team, right? But my opinion is you actually needed him to get out of the West. You actually needed him to get out of the West, right? You wasn't getting out of the West again. But my point is this. The Warriors needed KD. It's just as much as you say KD needed the Warriors, right? And then the Warriors asked KD to come. Draymond and Steph included. Steph stepped aside and gave up his number 1 spot to KD. Obviously, KD is the better player, the harder, you know what I mean? So all of those things happened. Steve Kerr, they choked the 3-1 lead in the finals. All of that stuff. But somehow, like Bob Myers said, the only person who ever took heat for that Kevin Durant and Warriors marriage is Kevin Durant. No one ever criticized Steph, Draymond, Steve Kerr, Joe Lacob, Bob Myers, or Clay for that. They got off scot-free. The only person who got heat was KD. And I want to know why. Right? So what you about to hear now is Kendrick Perkins trying to give Kevin Durant more heat. And I want you to listen to what Kendrick Perkins say, and I want you to apply it to any other superstar that Kendrick Perkins don't critique. We know he don't critique Bron, and he don't critique Steph Curry. I've never heard it. But I want you to listen to the words he says in critique fashion toward Durant and just apply it to Steph Curry.
Another organization, another failure for Kevin Durant. Another organization, another failure. Okay, you get a new coach. You fired Frank Vogel last year. You got Mike Budenholzer, who's a championship coach. You add the pieces that you added, and here we are.
Wait, failure. Hold on. I just want to understand his failure, or
another organization, and another failure for Kevin Durant since leaving Golden State. It was a failure with the Brooklyn Nets, and it's a failure now. There's nowhere in hell you have Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant on the same team, and you at 2,500, and you have all this turmoil. We're not dealing with children. Okay, we're not.
Understand that. I just don't understand how it's his.
Hold on, Bob. This is how it's his, right? Am I mistaken? Is one champion on this team, right? And it's a 2-time final. Hold on. So again, leadership comes into play. I'm looking at this situation is no leadership whatsoever. You can't blame the head coach no more. So who's the voice in the locker room?
I would maybe. I'm not going to go your way. The only thing that would make me consider agreeing with you is that if he asked to be he didn't ask to be out of there. He's trying to make. I think he's holding up his end.
Bob,
I think.
Bob, listen. He wanted Jimmy there. Okay, KD wanted
Sure.
Jimmy there.
No problem.
He wanted Jimmy there. He wanted Bradley Beal out. If Jimmy would have came there, they both would have signed contract extensions. That's not a secret. At the end of the day, we're talking about why they here to this point. And it's because of what I'm telling you. No leadership. It got to have some level of accountability.
Okay, we can go through the whole league if we want to do that.
I think
we're going to get back to this. Yeah, I think this is roster
You said
construction
he a
too.
top 10 greatest player of all
He
time.
is.
I also think that
So
Udonis.
leadership don't
It
come.
does matter.
So he said, you said Kevin Durant is a top 10 player of all time, so leadership don't come into play. All right, apply that to Steph Curry, right? Because last I checked, he's not the leader in his locker room, is Draymond. And y'all praise him for that. And then y'all say he's a top 10. Now y'all saying he's top 5. So Steph Curry's leadership is never in question, right? The way his team's looking right now is based on his leadership or lack thereof. He let Draymond Green scare off all his talent. That's his leadership lacking. What was Steph Curry at when Draymond Green was almost about to kill Steve Kerr in the locker room? Go read that article of the argument they got into at halftime, and he was about to kill Steve Kerr. What was, I didn't see nowhere in that article what Steph Curry did and said anything. But no one's going to question his leadership because they like him. You get what I'm saying? That's the weird part. What is it about you as a man that says, if I like you, I'm not going to hold you accountable. If I like you, I'm not going to be honest and tell the truth. What is it about that? At least have the common decency to say, well, if I can't critique Steph Curry because I like him, I at least got to be fair and keep my mouth closed when it comes to another player that's on his level. I'm not going to critique him either because I know I can't do it fairly. I know I'm going to have a double standard. If you're going to have a double standard, then just stay out of it. Right? You shouldn't be out here judging and passing judgment and critiquing if you can't do it across the board. If you're saying the guy that I like, I'm not going to critique, but the guy that I dislike, I'm going to critique. We don't want to hear from you, Kendrick. I've never heard you question Steph Curry's leadership. Send me the clip. I've never heard it. I've never heard Steph Curry's leadership come into question with all of these hangups. They've been a playing team for the longest. Ever since their championship, they've been a playing team. They're not doing so hot. Clay gone, Poole gone, KD gone, Wiseman gone, Boogie Cousins gone. Peyton was gone and came back. Wiggins is now gone. Kuminga can't even get minutes. Moody can't even get minutes. And y'all playing team. Y'all barely banking it. That's not leadership. Nobody even mentioned it. All they blaming the Warriors for wasting Steph Curry's prime. The Warriors are getting blamed for them sucking. And all the Warriors did was pay who they told him to pay. Steve Kerr, as soon as they got put out of the playoffs, went to the podium and said, we're not a contending team without Draymond. Because it was Draymond's contract year. The first thing he said when he got to the podium after getting put out of the playoffs is basically, Joe Lacob, pay Draymond. We need him. We can't contend without Draymond. So Joe Lacob went and paid Draymond and let Clay go. You got what you wanted, Steve Kerr. Steph Curry, you got what you wanted. Now, why aren't you contending? Why did I have to go out and make another trade for Jimmy Butler and then pay him $121? Why did I have to do that? So, yeah, I would love to see that same concept that you're using against Kevin Durant used against Steph Curry or LeBron James. You're not going to see it, not from no Kendrick Perkins. But it is what it is, man. I'll catch y'all on the next episode. Peace.